Welcome to For the Record. I'm Will Keneally. We start first this week with breaking news. The state's top elections official, Meagan Wolfe, has been the target of repeated Republican criticism this week. Criticism intensified when Republicans began circulating articles of impeachment against her. Now, the 15 articles allege varying levels of misconduct in office, stemming from continued Republican concerns over the administration of the 2020 election. Now, those articles of impeachment could be introduced as soon as late next week. Joining us now to get a better sense of what this impeachment process could mean for Wisconsin is Ann Jacobs. She's a Democratic appointee to the bipartisan commission that oversees the state's election agency. And thanks so much for joining us.
Happy to be here, Will.
So I want to parse this a little bit. This is not the case where all Republicans are against all Democrats here. Your 6-person board gets to appoint the administrator for the next 4 years. Can you run through what you all did back in July?
So in July, there was a motion put forward by the chair and one of the other Republican appointees to, in essence, renominate Meagan Wolfe to her position as administrator of the Wisconsin Elections Commission. It was the position of the Democrats that she was in that position and there was no legal basis to have a renomination, as it were. So instead of voting on that motion, the Democrats abstained, the 3 Republican members voted. The motion failed because anything the commission does basically requires 4 votes. And that's what sort of begun this interesting process we're in.
So again, kind of the understanding that all members of the commission support Meagan Wolfe to remain in her position. What is your reaction now to the move by Republicans to start this impeachment process?
So I read that impeachment document, and it is just a mish-mosh of conspiracy theories and ascribing to Meagan Wolfe the actions of the commission. The commission makes the decisions and Administrator Wolfe effectuates them. And that's what she's done. And reading through that document, it's just more of the same nonsense, going back to the 2020 election and trying to find a villain, or in this case, a villainess, to blame for Donald Trump's loss other than him receiving fewer votes than Joe Biden.
Now, to impeach and remove Wolfe from office, it would take a majority vote in the Assembly and a 2/3 vote in the state Senate. Republicans could achieve that without needing any Democrats to join them. How likely do you think we are to see that happen?
I have no insight into what the legislature is going to do with this. I think the idea of impeaching people over conspiracy theories and these sort of fabricated allegations would be a terrible precedent to set. And I am concerned that the idea of impeaching anyone that you disagree with as a way of governance is a terrible precedent to set. So my hope is that this impeachment document is allowed to linger and die in the annals of the legislature.
And what kind of impact will this have on Wisconsin's election administration if she's removed from her position?
The position of the administrator is incredibly complex. Not only are you running a state agency, you're running a massive database and computer infrastructure. You're involved with security at the highest levels. Administrator Wolfe, for example, has a top secret clearance, so she can talk to Homeland Security and the FBI about attacks on our voting systems. This isn't something that someone can just sort of wander in and say like, oh yes, I'm capable of doing this. That's not how this works. So it's important that we retain her and her institutional knowledge and her abilities with our commission. And if we do that, we'll have a great 2024 election. I have no way of figuring out how to stop people from these fabricated conspiracy theories. It's this bizarre drumbeat where no matter how many times you explain the facts, they're ignored and they just keep repeating them. I think it would be helpful if our elected officials, and I include my fellow commissioners, some of my fellow commissioners in this, would stop repeating them. and actually go forward and talk about the truth of our elections and our election structure here in Wisconsin.
Commissioner Ann Jacobs, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.